evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Oh, the drama. But at least the Chauvin trial is over. Officer Derek Chauvin was convicted yesterday on all counts. The trial went on for more than a month, and at times the testimony was complex and it was technical. But at the center of the case, there was always really just one piece of relevant evidence, and it was the videotape of George Floyd's death in the street in Minneapolis in May. If you haven't seen the tape recently, it remains every bit as shocking as the day it was shot. You watch it and you can see that George Floyd knows on some level that he's going to die. And in the end, of course, he does die. It's crushing that way. Millions of Americans reacted in that way. They saw it. They were horrified. And many decided as they watched it that Officer Chauvin must have committed an act of criminal brutality. So really, it's not surprising that the jury yesterday concluded the same thing. The images in that tape seem to tell the whole story. And in fact, honestly, it is possible that even if no one outside the courtroom in Minneapolis had ever seen that tape, just the jury, it's possible Derek Chauvin still would have been convicted. The tape is that powerful. That's totally possible. Unfortunately, we don't know that. We can only speculate about it because that's not at all what actually happened. The George Floyd video went around the world. It became the centerpiece of a new political movement. Political actors harnessed the emotion over that video and over Floyd's death to control the country and change it forever. And then, and this is the key and the thing that we should think a lot about, in the last month, some of these same people went further than that. They worked to change the outcome of Derek Chauvin's trial. And that is the one thing that we can never allow, no matter how we feel about a specific case. Civilized countries have impartial systems of justice. That's the hallmark of a civilized country. It's what separates the country you want to live in from a place you don't even want to visit. Civilized countries demand, above all, that every citizen is held to precisely the same standard under the law as every other citizen is. And that applies no matter how popular or unpopular a particular defendant might be. It applies no matter the alleged crime. Countries like this, civilized countries, do not tolerate jury intimidation. You see it, you stop it. They don't allow the threat of violence to influence the outcome of a trial, ever, under any circumstances. That would be the opposite of justice. It would be mob rule. And America used to strive hard to be like that. And yet, just yesterday, we saw the President of the United States throw his backing behind Derek Chauvin's prosecution. And he did that even as the jury in Minneapolis was still deliberating the case. We saw one of the most powerful members of the United States Congress tell a group of angry people they should act out in violence if the jury dared to acquit. We watched the city of Minneapolis concede responsibility for the death of George Floyd right in the middle of the trial, before Derek Chauvin's lawyer could even sum up his case. And then, least noted but most ominously of all, we saw thugs threaten a defense witness with death. They smeared pig blood on the door of what they thought was his house and then get away with it. No one in authority seemed especially interested in catching them. These were terrifying acts, and it doesn't matter whether you think that Derek Chauvin was guilty and deserves what he got. It doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter what you think about anything else. Seeing mobs trying to influence this trial should shock and horrify you at least as much as the George Floyd video did. This is a picture of a country moving backward at high speed. But the strange thing is that most people didn't seem shocked or upset by any of this. They seemed relieved by the verdict. They'd, of course, seen the boarded up buildings. They'd watched the troops in the streets, and they understood very well what an acquittal would mean. They believed that a conviction, whether it was justified or not, would buy the country peace. Many people thought this, not just cynical people, most people, including many Republicans. Some of them said so. If we obeyed Maxine Waters and ignored the pig blood, hopefully the chaos would end. And you can see why they felt that way. After 11 months of violence and intimidation from BLM, mostly unrestrained, Americans just decided to pay the ransom. They understood Derek Chauvin as a sacrifice for the sins of a nation. And on television, they told us this was the case. They said it in the clearest terms. America is on trial, they told us. It's not just Derek Chauvin, one cop from Minneapolis on the stand. No, it's all of us on the stand. Our history, our culture, our system. And we internalized that, and we went along with it. But we were foolish to go along with it. A wise country stands on its principles. It puts down mobs. It does not obey mobs. Mobs are never sated. It doesn't matter what demands you follow, they demand more. And now they are demanding more, not surprisingly. Here were the two most powerful people in the United States reacting to yesterday's verdict. And keep in mind, as you watch this, that no one has ever shown that race or skin color played any role in the death of George Floyd. If you watch the trial, you know that. But these people didn't watch the trial. They're not interested in the trial, the details of the case. Their plan is to use the trial the way they used George Floyd.
A measure of justice isn't the same as equal justice. This verdict brings us a step closer, and the fact is, we still have work to do. We still must reform the system.
No one should be above the law, and today's verdict sends that message. But it's not enough. We can't stop here.
But it's not enough. We can't stop here. We must reform the system. They don't say how, but their intent is obvious. They mean it. So it turns out that Derek Chauvin's conviction was not the end of the revolution. It was not the terminus of what we've seen for the past year after the death of George Floyd. It was just the beginning of the revolution. The Attorney General himself announced yesterday that the investigation into Floyd's death, overseen presumably by avowed racist Kristen Clark of the Civil Rights Division, is, quote, ongoing. It's ongoing? Didn't we just have a month-long trial that presented all the evidence? Yes, we did. But once again, that was just the start. So what can we expect next? Well, it's hard to know exactly, but there are signs. Here, for example, are BLM activists celebrating the verdict last night in New York. Now, George Floyd died 1,200 miles from New York in a totally different region. Presumably they didn't know George Floyd. They probably didn't watch his trial. But for people like this, justice for George Floyd isn't the point. Never-ending ethnic conflict is the point. Listen.
We don't want you here. 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 We don't want your money. We don't want your money. We don't want your taqueria. Owned by white men.
So people with the wrong skin color now have to leave New York City. They're not allowed to own restaurants. That's what they just said. Everyone, of course, pretended not to notice that they said it, but they did say it. The point is, people didn't used to talk like this in public. And when they did, they were scolded at the very least. You can't have a multi-ethnic nation hold together if people are going to scream stuff like that on the street without anyone disagreeing with them. So why are they doing it now? Well, they're doing it for one simple reason. It gets results. Radicalism works, violence works. That's the lesson. We've taught them, being the mob, that lesson. And here's at least one BLM activist who's willing to say it out loud.
It was a mixture of violent and non-violent protests that yielded this result. That's the bottom line. America doesn't listen to us when we march peacefully. I'm not saying people will be back in the street, but America must know that if you continue to allow us to be murdered in the streets without justice, we will raise hell in America.
So it's that simple. Violence gets results. Now, that's a threat, of course, but it's also, unfortunately, true. Rioting does work. When you burn cities, you get what you want. You get rich from corporate handouts. You can buy 4 homes. You get the jury verdicts you have demanded. Rioters know this very well, even if the rest of us will not admit it. By allowing Wendy's to be torched and Macy's to be looted and police stations to be destroyed, the rest of us have relinquished our power as citizens and instead handed it to the most violent, unreasonable, and least productive people in the country. Why would we do something like this? Maybe historians will be able to explain it. In the meantime, prepare for the next phase. But once again, don't kid yourself. Derek Chauvin's conviction did not settle accounts, it merely increased the debt. Here's the Democratic Party's pet academic radical, Henry Rogers, now known as Ibram X. Kendi, letting us know that Derek Chauvin was just the beginning. National transformation is on the way.
So now what? Chauvin is headed to jail. But is America headed to justice? Is justice convicting a police officer? Or is justice convicting America? It is easy to just blame individual officers like Derek Chauvin, but the problem is structural. The problem is historic. Justice has convicted America. Now we must put in the time transforming this nation.
So we've all been convicted of murder. And by the way, you can't blame Ibram X. Kendi. That guy's gotten many millions of dollars from our captains of industry. He is incubated within the academy. You may be paying tuition to support his salary. Why are you doing that? Why are the rest of us doing it? As he calls for punishing you for a murder you didn't commit? So this transformation that Ibram X. Kendi is calling for, what exactly is that going to look like? What's the shape of the reform to come? Well, Bree Newsom has some ideas. Newsom is one of the most famous BLM activists in the country. This morning, she announced that henceforth, police officers should not be allowed to break up knife fights. Quote, teenagers have been having fights, including fights involving knives, for eons. We do not need police to address these situations. By showing up to the scene and using a weapon against one of the teenagers, everyone should be frightened that the ruling white elite have done such a thoroughly successful job of not only disconnecting us from the means of basic self-sufficiency, but also convincing us we need armed white officers to manage our children and communities, end quote. Now, you may roll your eyes at Ibram X. Kendi or the president and vice president or at Bree Newsom and the many like her, but be assured that the Biden administration does not roll its eyes. It takes every word very seriously, and that means your neighborhood may soon see reforms like this one. And what will happen then? Well, if you live in an affluent neighborhood, you'll be absolutely fine because you'll hire private security. And there'll be many American police officers who are eager to become private security guards because it pays better and you don't have to listen to Ibram X. Kendi. He'll doubtless have them. But for everyone else, what next? Well, here's some data, and it comes from, of all places, the website Vox, which cites the following study. Quote, from 2014 to 2019, a researcher called Campbell tracked more than 1,600 BLM protests across the country, largely in bigger cities, with nearly 350,000 protesters. Now, the net result was, quote, roughly 300 fewer police homicides in census places that saw BLM protests. Okay, 300. But here's the cost of that, and we're quoting. Campbell's research also indicates that these protests correlate with a 10% increase in murders in the areas that saw BLM protests. That means from 2014 to 2019, there were somewhere between 1,000 and 6,000 more homicides that would have been expected if places with protests were on the same trend as places that did not have protests. You following the math there? Thanks to BLM, says this researcher, police shot about 300 fewer suspects. And in exchange for that, up to 6,000 new murders took place, many of innocents and children. So that's the bargain that we have made. And we just doubled down on that.